You know how there's that Spotify Wrapped thing, and then, I just had like a Steam Wrapped where it tells me what my favorite games and artists were and what I spent the most time doing throughout the year? Well, I thought it might be a fun exercise to do a TTRPG Wrapped. Same kind of concept where we take a look at the games that we've played over the year and figure out what we spent the most time doing. So this is my TTRPG Wrapped. I have this personal philosophy that there is an inherent benefit in trying different systems. I think that you learn a lot of things by trying different systems. Like, for instance, the first time I ever played Blades in the Dark was the first time I was introduced to things like clocks or flashbacks. And these I thought were ingenious little tools that I take and I try to implement into other games that I play. And because I thought this would be an interesting exercise, I decided to start tracking every system that I either ran or played in throughout the year, and I compiled a list. In fact, I made a Mastodon post, a toot, at the beginning of the year saying that I had a goal set for myself to try 10 TTRPG systems that I'd never played before. And in total, I more than doubled that goal. So I'm going to show you guys a list of the games that I got to play, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each of them. So here's my list. I don't know how well you can see this, but I ended up playing about 22 games over the course of 2025. I'm going to play Dolmenwood this week, so I'm counting that one just for the sake of the video. I'll just go down the list. I solo played Colossal, which was a really cool game. I'll talk about that in a bit. I got to play Sentinel Comics with Wes from DM Tales. I played some Crown and Skull on Kane's Kiln and a few other times online. I played a lot of ShadowDark this year. I got to play Easy D6 at Page in January. I played Old School Essentials a couple different times, once or twice with Phil on the Discord. Some index card RPG with Torn, and in a few other places I played a one-shot with Lil Chris, who runs the Crit online con that if you haven't heard of, you should check out. I'll put a link below. I played some Trench Crusade. I'm counting that. It's technically a war game, but I've never played any actual war game before, so I thought that was fun. And I got to play with Hank over at Runehammer in his shop. So that was a really cool experience. I got to play some D&D 5e. In fact, one of my good friends watched my January videos and thought, yeah, I could do that. And so he ran a game of 5e for us, and it was a blast. I played a little Cypher system online again with Wes. I played some Nuts Scrats system, and that sort of inspired me to go down my own path and write my own game, which I've also played a ton of this year. I got to play Tales from Elsewhere Clock World with Peter, the rest of the TFE crew, the What is Tabletop guys, Wally DM, and this guy named Matt, who was a delight to play with. And I got to play in an online stream of it with a few other big names in the industry. I played some Land of Eam over on Discord, and it ended up being one of my favorite games of the year, and it's now one of my top TTRPGs. I played a short session of Mutant Crawl Classics with a few folks over on the Elder Goblin Games Discord, where we play lots of games, and you're welcome to come try. I got to try Mythic Bastionlands and Daggerheart, two games that I was highly anticipating, both of which were really fun for totally different reasons. Those could not be more stylistically different kind of games. I've played the heck out of my own game, Seven Delving Sins, and I even ran a game live for Scrat and a few folks over on his channel. Played Clever Cool Crazy with Glenn, a system that he's working on, and we did a sort of Babylon 5 adventure delve. It was cool. I liked the system a lot. I don't know a lot about Babylon 5, but now I know slightly more. I got to play some Star Borg and Pirate Borg, two of my favorite Borgs, including getting to play with Tyler, Bob World Builder, Grace World Destroyer, and a couple of other awesome folks. Got a whole video about that experience I'll put up here. And later this week, I'm going to get to play Dolmenwood, which is one of the most interesting and anticipated games that I have on my shelf. They're down there, you can't see them, but the books look gorgeous. The system looks really fun and awesome. It's got a very old school inspired, almost, I think it's kind of a reskinned OSE from what I'm seeing, but a really thought out, fleshed out world with like some really great design elements, especially to the world building, adventure design, things like that. So I'm super stoked for that. I'm excited to try it. If I have it in time, I'll put a link to where that's going to get played online. So, but yeah, 22 different systems this year, and I set out to do 10. It would have been cool if I could hit 25 in 2025, but we're at the end of the year and I just don't think that's going to happen. And of those systems, every single one of them has some little interesting piece, some mechanic, some interpretation of how to do a classic rule that is very interesting and I think helps me grow both as a game master and a game designer, because you get all these unique ideas, and so many of them are just so vastly different, because I played everything from Pirate Borg to Daggerheart, and there are things that I like about each of those games, and probably elements I've taken and put into my own game I'm writing, because let's face it, the game you write is the game that you wish was out there. So you cobble together all the pieces of the things you do like, and you smash them together, and you make a weird Play-Doh monster, and that's your role-playing game. As far as the wrap-up goes, I think statistically, for sure, number one on my list of most played is, of course, ShadowDark. I'm running a ShadowDark campaign for a local club. I run a lot of ShadowDark stuff online. In fact, I ran a few games for Crit this year. And if people just show up in town, like I had some friends from out of town and they'd never done role-playing games, so I ended up running ShadowDark for them because it's super easy and it just lives in the back of my head. Like I can pretty much run that game without a book at this point. Other than that, I have to say the other game I most played is definitely Seven Delving Sins. I've done a lot of playtests for it. I've been doing a lot of little mini scenarios where I just test the bolts and screws of different pieces and mechanics. So, I hate to be like, it's my own game, self-promo here, but it's true. That's the game that I've played the second most behind ShadowDark this year. Third most, I actually think, is Crown and Skull. I played quite a bit of Crown and Skull at the beginning of 2025. I played a lot of smaller sessions with Kane's Kiln. I played a few other online sessions with different folks, just because I really wanted to wrap my head around that system. I thought it was really cool. I like systems that reach and try new things and try really unique mechanics, and Crown and Skull is definitely chock full of that. All right, I have to turn around and look because, well, I know I played a decent amount of Pirate Borg this year. In fact, I'm playing one more session before the end of the year with Salty Nick. He does this like calligraphy D&D channel, so go check out his channel if you've never seen it. It's awesome stuff, very relaxing, which YouTube needs more relaxing stuff. So I guess in summation, I've played a lot of Borg titles this year. I'd never actually played a Borg game before 2025. So actually getting to try a few of them, especially Pirate Borg. Decemborg. Yeah, that's right. I'm talking about Borgs. This is now a Decemborg video, a term I just made up. So there you go, Borg people. You can steal that one and use it. You're welcome. The rest would basically be almost pure guesses. I mean, ICRPG definitely is up there for games played. Then maybe OSE, Old School Essentials. I think beyond that, yeah, pure guessing. So it was a lot of one-shots, a lot of one-offs that I just did one or two sessions of. So yeah, those are the main games that I played during 2025, even though I tried a total of 22. The most time I delved into a book and really just read the mechanics and chewed at them and like tried to figure out what was going on was definitely Land of Eden. I spent a lot of time digging into that book and really trying to wrap my head around the system because it is slightly unique. It's got some interesting elements. I really like the items. The itemization in it is great. There are a lot of really fun, unique style of items that give you like little abilities and boosts and things here and there. So I spent a lot of time digging into it and like, figuring out what I like so much about that system. Even though it wasn't my most played game, I spent a lot of time in the books and like checking out the mucklands and jotting ideas down because I kind of want to run a campaign of it. I think it would be a lot of fun. Award for most innovative system I've tried in 2025 goes to Crown and Skull. This just is a system that just dares to be so different. It's a lot of the attrition system. I really like the character building. The point system is really cool. I haven't ever seen a system that quite does it in the way Crown and Skull does. I like the sort of kit bashing customization it has, where you can just, you can take like a weapon, you can spend points during character building to give that weapon unique abilities, to double your damage dice or raise it a die size and stuff like that. It's just really cool. That system doesn't get talked about enough, so I'll do it. I'll be the one that talks about it more. And it gets points for just sheer ingenuity, creativity as far as like mechanics and things. Because even games like ShadowDark, like I love ShadowDark, but it's D&D at the end of the day. It's strength, dexterity, charisma, intelligence, constitution, all the things Professor DM says in all his videos. I think I said this in a previous video, but I think one of the most fun singular sessions I had the entire year was playing Pirate Borg. Pirate Borg and all the Borg games are just so extremely simplistic. Sometimes when you're gearing up to play a game, especially in a year where I played 22 different systems, you're trying to rack your brain and remember like what's most important to keep in my mind here. And every time I played a Borg game, it's like roll 12 or better, It's so easy. It's so straightforward. Don't hear me say that these are only games for casual people, but if you have like people who are trying a TTRPG for the first time, a Borg game like Pirate Borg, Mork Borg, Star Borg, anything with Borg on the end of it is going to be a great entry level game. In fact, of all the games I played, I think this one sits so close to consistency with a lot of other TTRPGs while being one of the most simplified versions of those sort of D&D-esque games. So my award for the year is, I guess, easiest game to get into, Pirate Borg. And also the tables are just great. You roll up really fun, ridiculous characters, misfit groups of pirates. So I think that's mostly it for this TTRPG Wrapped video. I could go on and on about, what games I'm most excited about or most anticipated. I really do want to play like some Nimble and Quest. I put those two up here to remind myself. And, I'm excited for the game I'm writing. Hopefully it comes out next year. We'll see. I'm definitely going to do a Kickstarter in January. I think we're going to go to Kickstarter, so keep an eye out for that. Sign up for the mailing list. I'll put a little link up here that you can click or look down in the links below. I'm not sure if I'll do this every year, but I thought this was kind of a fun exercise or for like a challenge for you guys at home to just kind of jot down games as you play them and really think about like what games did you have the most fun playing throughout the year. Not necessarily what games you played the most, because again, love ShadowDark, I play it the most, but what games did you have the most fun that were so different and weird? Like, Mythic Bastionlands, for instance, just had a really weird combat system that I wasn't anticipating, but really enjoyed. I thought it did some unique things. Or games that you're looking forward to trying, like, I've been sitting on this Outcast Silver Raiders box for a while, and it just seems really cool and streamlined, and another sort of OSR style game that I'd like to give a shot. So comment down below either your favorite games of the year, the games you played the most, or if you were a madman like me and you kept a list, put down your list in the comments and tell me what games did you play at all? What were the total number of different TTRPG systems that you tried in 2025? Because I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear if someone beats me. I'm sure someone beats me by a mile, but I felt like 22 was a pretty good number, at least for me. I'm a busy guy, a husband and a new dad, so getting to try 22 RPGs in 1 year felt like a feat for myself, a goal that I way blew past. So anyways, I am totally rambling at this point. Thank you guys for watching. And, I want to say this. Truly thank you all who support a channel who isn't really centered around any one TTRPG. I definitely take a hit in the algo department because I don't focus on like a 5e or a Pathfinder or even solely on ShadowDark. It definitely means a lot to me that you guys watch my silly channel where I rant and talk and mumble about so many different games. I just love the depth of different TTRPG systems out there And I get excited every time new ones bring new ideas to the table, and I got to talk about them. So appreciate you guys for listening to me ramble. Okay, I'm truly done now. Appreciate you guys so much. Hopefully you've had a great 2025, and hopefully you have an even better 2026. Keep gaming. January's right around the corner. If you're going to Page, I hope to see you there. Don't be afraid to come say hey to me. I'm fairly nice. As always, remember to learn, adapt, and grow. If you want to stay plugged in to what's going on behind the scenes or support me more directly, please check out either the mailing list or the Patreon. Because let's be honest, YouTube is not always the best about getting notifications to the people who want to see them, and both of these are absolutely free to sign up. Either one is fine. I'm going to be doing more frequent updates for things like the games I'm developing, announcements for when these things go live, and also more things like giveaways and chances to play games with me directly. Check out either one. I appreciate all the support that you guys give. Thank you so much. Do all the YouTube things. And as always, learn, adapt, and grow. We'll see you next time.